This Mars-Saturn conjunction is particularly unique in that it squares the lunar nodes. Let's get into it. Our first order of business this week is the conjunction between Mars and Saturn. This is a once every 2-year conjunction, so it's super duper important to pay attention to when it arises. These conjunctions are going to happen in consecutive signs, sometimes repeating. And when these two planets align, they're going to basically be presenting new issues that we're going to be focusing on collectively for the next 2 years. So let's take it back a notch. First of all, this conjunction is happening on April 4th and 5th. And the thing that makes this particular conjunction unique is that it's happening in a square to the lunar nodes. So I can't wait to share more about that. But first, I want to just backtrack a second. The first time, or the last time rather, that Mars and Saturn conjoined was on April 30th, 2020. Sound familiar? This happened at 0 degrees Aquarius, and this was the start of Saturn's ingress into Aquarius. So we got the themes of social distancing, and that one was very extreme, probably for other reasons. I mean, there was also Saturn and Pluto caught in the crosshairs of an eclipse. So there's a lot of other stuff going on. It wasn't just the Mars-Saturn cycle, if you catch my drift. And I say that also to not be afraid that the Mars-Saturn cycle is coming. It's not going to be necessarily a repeat. Although we will see repeating themes because this upcoming conjunction between Mars and Saturn is still in the sign of Aquarius. So as you can as you can recall, at the last conjunction of Mars and Saturn, we got all these new protocols. Mars and Saturn are often going to describe themes around strife or challenges or things we have to watch out for. But Mars and Saturn, as malefic planets, they're also protective planets. So we got all these extreme measures handed to us around how to protect ourselves and wash our hands and wear masks. And there was all kinds of paranoia going on. And also, the big theme that I also associate with the malefic planets is work. So that last conjunction between Mars and Saturn set in a 2-year theme of redefining how we work and how we think about work and bringing up issues and themes collectively around work. So many of us started working from home around that time in order to comply with the social distancing and the quarantines and whatnot. Now, I think we're going to see I think that while that first cycle in Aquarius was really focalized around quarantine and social distancing and dealing with the virus, I think that that's still going to be in place. We're still in a pandemic. We're seeing other variants start to have greater impact in other parts of the world. Not so much here in the United States at this moment, although, we're watching for it. So we may see new protocols emerge around social distancing and whatnot there, which we're already seeing. Since Jupiter entered Pisces, there's been sort of a relaxing of standards, but Mars conjunct Saturn may present some new rules and lay some new groundwork for what we need to do moving forward for the next 2 years. Additionally, I think that this particular conjunction in Aquarius is going to highlight the theme of work in a particular way. We're already seeing it. We're in the Great Resignation. We're seeing more waves of it as businesses start to demand that their workers return to the workplace. So I think we're going to see a big push for people defending their desire to continue working remotely or working from home. We've seen that it works. So a lot of people aren't willing to go back to that. Although a lot of CEOs who are paying all this money for real estate are saying, no, we need people in the office. So we feel justified in doing so. It's interestingly, I think that we'll continue to see themes on unions and workers' wages. That was another sort of malefic themed element of the last 2 years was we saw essential workers toil at the expense of their health and with no greater security promised for healthcare or anything like that. And meanwhile, we've seen the prices skyrocket for the cost of living. Meanwhile, CEOs increase their fortunes. So I think we're going to see that theme carry over too as we continue to push for better benefits and better pay. And I hope we see billionaires get taxed. I don't know. I mean, we've seen some legislation that is pushing for that. Who knows if it'll pass because everyone is so damn corrupt, but we will see. So wages, unions, the structure, the infrastructure of how we work, I think that that is all shifting. In relationship to the lunar nodes, we've got the North Node in Taurus, which is inviting us to slow down. We've got the South Node in Scorpio, which is highlighting turmoil, ecological crisis. It's also highlighting trauma. I think so many of us have just individual experiences of trauma, but we've also been through a collective trauma. And one way that we can heal from trauma is to do the Taurus North Node thing of getting really present and really embodied and moving at a pace that isn't triggering our nervous system into fight or flight. So I think that the right to work from home or the desire to maintain working from home is going to be speaking to that nodal experience, which we have not even seen. We have not even seen the full throes of what this nodal axis is going to call forth for us in development over the next 18 months, because we've only seen one eclipse in Taurus so far. We haven't seen the full Taurus Scorpio cycle yet. We won't see that until the spring. We'll see an eclipse on April 30th and an eclipse on May 16th. And that'll be the first one. And that one on May 16th will be really important because that one will square Saturn. So this configuration that we're describing right now of Mars and Saturn squaring the nodes, we may see an uptick of these themes now, but we can especially see it in a big, big way with that eclipse around May 16th. So keep that in the back of your mind. Workers' rights, unions, wages, by the way, and wealth are a huge theme of the Taurus Scorpio axis. As Saturn squares the nodes, we're also going to be seeing themes of consequences. And speaking to what I was just describing of ecological crisis, the economic crisis that we're in, I think that Saturn is going to present some unfortunate realizations of what absolutely needs to change. And again, Saturn in Aquarius is infrastructure. So I'm thinking that this conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and Russia and really the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is kind of sanctioning them and cutting them off from a lot of, digital platforms and whatnot. And also like the world banking. Yeah, there's a lot there. And now Russia is threatening to cut off some European nations from gas. And many of these nations were considering sort of eliminating Russia out of the equation anyways, but now they may have to act quicker. I'm wondering if this Saturn square the nodes is really inviting some changes in the way that we run our infrastructure with the Earth's resources. Finances will absolutely be on the table too. So Saturn can deal with like decisions and the collective infrastructure, the systems. Saturn is also repercussions and consequences. So we may see that play out too as we near into eclipse season with the war crimes happening, with the crimes against the planet, with the crimes against humanity. I mean, it's criminal the way that people are being paid right now. Like we've seen us, if you're a millennial, then you know. That's all I have to say. So something urgently needs to change for our future livelihood, for the livelihood of the planet. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that these eclipses are going to help us out. So that's a little bit about the Mars-Saturn conjunction squared the nodes. I mean, personally, this is going to show up if you are feeling stuck. There might be big themes around responsibility in your life. There's something about having to make a decision or having to own up to something. What do we have to do to get unstuck? What do we have to do to keep that ball moving forward for ourselves? So, more than happy to discuss that in your next year ahead astrology reading, which you can always book with me. But for now, that was your astrology shot of the day. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. Book your next astrology reading with me by visiting my website, where you can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on courses, events, and new articles. Bye.